Proud. Welcome, everyone. So nice to see you all this evening. For friends that I know, friends that I don't know, we are all friends right here at the Courage to Create. So I'm super excited to have you all. Let me pull this back up. We're recording, right, Lisa? Yes. Okay. I don't know why. Ooh, now we're not. I shouldn't have done that. Leave it to me. I had it all. Stop. There we go. I guess I have to. Sorry, guys. Me and the smooth music, and now like I'm messing it up. All right, we're still recording, right? Here we go. Share screen. There we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's session. We're super glad to have you here, and sorry about the our RegBox system. We had lots of people looking to register for tonight's session, so a lot of people will be getting the replay, as well as people registering for the Sherry Dusky Rinker demystifying rhyme tomorrow. And our registration system went out. There were power outages is what RegBox said. So I assume that's maybe Texas, our region, because of the heat, maybe bandwidth, I'm not sure. But either way, we are all here right now tonight. So I want to welcome you. I am Bethany Hegedus, for those of you who may not know me. And as I introduce myself and our guest tonight, I would love it if you would, in the chat, share what type of writing you do. And so that could be picture books, memoirs, poems, novels, whatever it is that you write. And also, what is potential writing life challenge that you're currently having? So writing life or industry. So it could be facing like the query trenches. You could be between agents. You could maybe, you probably won't say if you want to leave your agent in the chat. You save that for closed community space for sure. But you may be between agents. You may be finding motivation problems or time, life, and balance issues. You may be like on the verge, and you've been on the verge for a while and you just haven't broken through yet. You may be confused by researching agents. Some of you may be in grad school recovery, whether that is the structure of grad school being done and not sure how to forward your writing with that. You could be getting prepped to query. So the synopsis is a challenge, and some structural things are challenges. Or you could be new to writing, and all of us, we could be suffering from lack of confidence, compare despair, imposter syndrome, or many other literary life challenges. So that's kind of all the things that we address here at the Courage to Create. So I'm going to look in the chat and see, all right, picture books, finding an agent, one published book, no agent, procrastination. Yep. These are all things that we all work with all the time. So continue to share your literary life challenge as I introduce you to some of our community members who are going to be with us tonight. So these are our community members who are going to be joining me in various sessions. And tonight we have the first three lovely women, and we do have some men, so don't be afraid, but we do have some men in our group. This is Sue Young. Sue is joining us tonight from right here in Austin, and Sue is a singer-songwriter as well as storyteller, performer. You may have brought her into your schools already, and she is working on picture books and is a school librarian as well, right, Sue? Go ahead and unmute and say hello.
Yes, that's all correct.
That is all correct. Okay, there you go. And Sue is joining us from Austin, although she has a beautiful backdrop of Mexico behind her. And Marcy, are you with us tonight? I thought I saw you come on in.
I'm here.
Yay, there's Marcy. And Marcy is a picture book writer and a previous Write Submit support writer. And Marcy, you're in cowboy country, correct?
I am. I'm in Montana, and we're having quite a windstorm. I don't know. My internet was a little funky for there, so I'm hoping I'll stay with you all. But
I hope you do
and
too.
if
Be
it goes
safe.
away,
You need to take refuge in a closet. You go do that.
no, it's not that kind of windstorm. Might be a
And
little
we
bit
also have with us Lena Juliette Weber, who is joining us from LA. Hello. Lena.
Hi. I'm so
Great.
embarrassed. That picture is so old of me. I'm seeing that you found.
Oh, hush.
Ah,
We compiled them at the last minute, and I have a call with Lena at 6:30 a.m. her time tomorrow, and she said I won't be camera ready, and I said, don't worry, I'm never camera ready. I never let that stop us, right?
That's
We're a
right.
community, we're here, we're glad you're with us, and you'll be hearing from our various community members throughout the evening directly, and also looking for direct questions at the end. So kind of the rundown of tonight, and thank you all for sharing nonfiction, picture books, informational fiction, looking for an agent, staying enthusiastic. You see how we all have some of the same hurdles that we need to look at in our literary lives. Oh, and also I want to introduce Lisa Katzenberger. Lisa, would you like to come on and say hello real quick?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
There you go. Lisa is joining
Hi.
us from her new home, a few blocks down from her old home there in
Yes.
Evanston, Illinois. It's Evanston, correct, Lisa?
LaGrange, south
LaGrange,
suburbs of
okay.
Chicago. That's okay. But Evanston is also a very lovely town with wonderful bookstores and a great library. So I would be happy to be there too.
You'd be happy to be there too, but you're in LaGrange. And we're going to hear from Lisa a little bit tonight as well. Lisa's been helping behind the scenes with the Courage to Create and serving as my author assistant. So some of you may have chatted with Lisa about my mentee work or some other things. So again, really glad to have you all. So we're going to kind of go over some of the program, the different components. I'm going to talk to our community member guests, and then there'll be an opportunity at the end to ask questions. We'll drop in some links should you get moved to potentially throw your hat in the ring for the Courage to Create. And because you are here live and Regbox is working, if you're interested in signing up tonight, there is a special discount code before we open to new members tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started. If you are, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Writing Barn. So we created the Writing Barn Manifesto maybe 2.5 years ago, and we've started using it routinely in our webinars in the last 6 months or so. So if you're not already familiar with the Writing Barn Manifesto, just give it a look-see as I continue to share about what we're up to. And from the Writing Barn Manifesto, there were things like, we know compare, despair exists. We develop techniques to empower ourselves and others. We work to create inclusion and equity within the publishing industry. We believe in industry transparency. From our manifesto and my work with writers through the Write Submit support programs, which I was teaching personally here at the Writing Barn, beginning 6 or 7 years ago. It's before my son was born, and he's now 6, so that must have been 7 years ago. And then they went online with other instructors taking them on. I really saw that there was this need to address all the plethora of writing life frustrations and industry frustrations that stop us from doing our best work, that stop us from putting our work out into the world, that stop us from finding our right industry partnerships, that stop us from doing the work that we know we really want to do, and also learning how to connect with our readers, finding them, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit at a time. And so last August, we opened the Courage to Create. And the Courage to Create is built around these beliefs. And we usually pick 2 every 6 months to work with. And Sue in our green room before we went live, Sue was saying, she's like, can I download this? We want to turn it into a poster and and some magnets and or some stickers. But right now you can find this image if you want to print it out. You can find it on the community page at BethanyHagedis.com, and you can print it out in color for yourself right there. It's downloadable. And Sue, why do the beliefs are something that you know, you're attracted to and you want to have there at your desk or wherever it is that you write?
Because one of the obstacles for me in writing is that yucky internal voices that tell me that I can't do it, or I'm not worthy, or I don't know how. And this is all like, you know, medicine for that. All of these little sayings, these little slogans, they're the things that I need to counteract those voices in my head. Those are the messages I need to counteract those voices in my head.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Creativity is not a competition. You guys can pick out ones that you like. I've been working a lot with Rest is a Radical Act. Lena, which one have you been working with?
I actually commented on a post you made recently on Rest is a Radical Act, because I've heard you say it, like many of the mantras, you know, I think they're there for you when you need them. You know, they're just like they in my mind, and when I need one, it's there. But I always thought that one wasn't for me. That's for other people. And
other people can rest, not you, Mama.
Yeah, exactly. Like you know, that's not for me. And then I only just recently considered it. You wrote something, I can't remember what it was. And I even wrote, I never considered this before, but I realize that now, like it actually will make my work stronger, because I just didn't grab onto that one. So, but I do love the mantras in general, especially when you're having a crap day, because then I can they're there, you know, they live inside you. You hear them so much with this program that they're there. Even, you know, sometimes when the loud voice is the ugly voice, the good ones are still there too, you know?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And Marcy, which one have you been working with?
Lately, the biggest one for me is the only stamp of approval we need is our own, because there's so much as you go through the writer's journey. It's like, oh, a rejection, you know, things come in and it's like, wait a minute, I just got to focus on the work and on my own approval. So that's been a big
Yes, I love that. And we have to say yes to ourselves so much before our industry partners say yes to us. And we're going to talk about goals tonight and how our goals help us reach our milestones, which is also one of the things we've been working with. And Lisa, you didn't claim this, but selling 4 books this summer, I think you've been working with ambition is the natural impulse to share our gifts. Don't make yourself guilty for having it or not owning it. Will you take that on, my friend?
Yes. I did sell a biography and then a chapter book series, still to be announced, but I felt at times guilty about sending my agent more stories. Like, does she really want to hear from me again? Should I send her another picture book manuscript? And it turns out I should. And I should keep, whether you're querying or have an agent or whatever, like if you have those stories, you gotta get them out, and you have that feeling that you want them to be out there. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good feeling, and pursue it and share your work with others, because people want to hear these stories.
Awesome. And also too, that really, you know, and it also takes the time it takes. You know, you got rejections this summer.
I did.
You know, the same day, didn't you get a rejection and an offer on the same day?
Yes.
Or the day after one another. So like, that's the ride we're on as creatives. And that's what we do here at the Courage to Create is kind of like anchor ourselves amid the ups and downs of all the things that fly at us, that obsessively checking the inbox, the, you know, working to, you know, potentially cyber stalking agents, seeing what they're up to. Have they read my manuscript now? What's going, why are they on vacation again? What's happening in publishing? You know, all of that kind of stuff is stuff that we work with and we own up to and admit to and decide for ourselves, is that really working for us? Or is it holding us back? You know, are we falling into the pit with that or not? And compare despair is a big one too. So I'll be giving a talk on that throughout the enrollment period, and we encourage new members to come back for that as well. So this is our friend Eileen, who's not with us tonight, but who has this to say about the program. She is an SCBWI member, a 12 by 12 member, a VCF Vermont College of Fine Arts. Shout out, I see some Vermonters here, Marty Graham, Diane White, and others. And she joined the Courage to Create in our first 6 months and stayed with us for the year. And she said that basically Courage to Create was like a kick in the pants to bravely pursue your goals. And I just love that this kind of like gave her renewed energy, even with you know, the length of study and the length of development that she has been at her craft and is working deeply. I just got a card from her in the mail yesterday. She's been on vacation in Vermont. We haven't seen her at a lot of our webinars lately. So she's been resting and working deeply on her novel. Currently, in the last year, we served over 287 writers, and 97% of the writers said that they would refer a friend, that they found the program beneficial and that they would be willing to refer a friend. So some of you all may be friends of Courage to Create members right now. Give us a shout out if you know and have a friend here. Say hello to each other, or, you know, let us know what community member you know, because we just appreciate that. Like, word of mouth is, you know, really the way writers share everything. And it means so much to me that people are willing to share this content with others, because we got a big mission if we're looking to transform the publishing industry, which is what I'm after. So get ready. Okay, so who we are at the Courage to Create is a community of individuals. And we are individuals, we're writers and creatives at all levels. So we have new writers, people just starting their journey. We have people who are published, who've published many books. We have people whose careers on the up. We have people whose career may have feel stalled. We have writers at every level and also at different genres. And that's really because I deeply believe writers, we too segment ourselves. We segment ourselves out in the world anyway. And even though we have a pre-published session and a early to mid-career session, and we serve both writers, the large group is always together. And the reason those literary life calls are separate isn't because pre-pubbed means you're not good enough at all. It's also just because sometimes in the early to mid-career, we're focusing on some marketing and some timelines, and you can dip into that and watch that in a replay and see if you're, you know, want to take that on. But I also don't want people to get fearful. And it was interesting. We had done an event on launches before, and I don't know if any of you are on Kidlit Alliance. I believe it was on Kidlit Alliance today. Sadia Farike, who did the Yasmin series, she has a new book coming out, and she mentioned that she was feeling really nervous about it and just kind of like, she believes in this book, her energy's off. And I was like, that's also the stuff we don't talk about as early to mid-career writers. And we talk about that here in the Courage to Create. So it's also, I think, important for writers who just, you know, want that one contract or believe that the agent is the stamp of approval, that no matter where we are in our career, our doubts can come up and we have to keep working with our emotions. That's what writers do. That's what drives us, is to put it into our characters. And we're very creative and fanciful folks. So we can get caught up in some drama. So we need to keep it on the page and not in our heads. So that's what we're out to do. So we're a community of various individuals at all different levels, working to set individual goals with new ways of engaging with our creative work and the publishing industry that empower ourselves and serve a variety of voices. So that is who we are. And we are a brave and safe online space to get resources to add to your writing toolboxes, ask our industry questions, seek support and motivation, and process the difficulties of the creative path. So that's the Writing Barn on a very nice day when we were welcoming writers from the Texas Book Festival. And for our early to mid-career members, we talk about, throughout the Courage to Create, you'll hear me talking about finding your big why. And this writer shared that being in the early to mid-career group was something that they found fruitful, that it helped with their questions and their anxiety, and finding their big why and thinking of promotion as a service for her audience or his audience changed how they perceived writing in the publishing journey. And then I'm not reading any nice things about myself. You can all scan those. I will not be that self-indulgent to do that. But what you see is what you get. I'm a little goofy. I'm a little off the cuff. Occasionally a swear word comes out. Occasionally tech goes wrong, and we always get back on track and back to the work. I call myself, Liz Gilbert coined this term, the half-assed creative. I'm not a perfectionist, and I embrace the motto of being a half-assed creative. I rather put the work out there, share it with folks, connect if possible. That doesn't mean I don't refine and revise, because I do. And it also doesn't mean I don't prepare, but I also just want to keep things moving forward. That's kind of like my little engine that could kind of thing. And at the Courage to Create, this is a major, major aspect of what we're out to do and what I'm out to do in my work informing this community, is that the Courage to Create is a thriving community garden. This is what I want publishing to be. Tended by many hands, growing at our own pace, aware of the seasons of creativity, and giving ourselves the space to bloom. It's super important to me that, well, you'll see some of the things that we're not based on this is what we are. We're not a healing modality, replacement for therapy, or other methods of seeking support around core trauma, though writing can and should be a therapeutic act. We are also not a political or religious forum. This was formed last August, so you can imagine the intensity of the pandemic, our continued deep need for societal change, and equity and inclusion, the political situation. So while we are very aware of what's happening in the world and how it may be impacting us as writers, we're not a political or religious forum. Discussions and differing opinions will occur, and an awareness of views outside of our own is encouraged. But we gather for the purpose of creating our literary lives, engaging with a variety of themes, and moving our work and the publishing industry forward. And this is what we're not. And this is what I think much of what we experience out there in the world is. The country club model of publishing's past, being unaware of how we got let in the door, for those of us, you know, who we think got a stamp of approval, potentially, and maybe afraid to ask questions, creatives as commodities, and closed to most. So let us know in the chat if you have experienced the publishing industry or other writing organizations as if it were this country club, you know, and not the community garden. Think about where, and the opposite of those two. A community garden with many hands tilling the soil, many flowers growing at their own time. The beauty of one flower does not take away from the beauty of the other flower. We may even need a few bee stings to pollinate those flowers, or rejections or other things that get in the way. We may sit too long in the in the sun and get a sunburn. Oh, Sue, it's felt like the Hunger Games for you. Yuck. Yuck. Plenty of room for all. Yep. You can address the dirt too. Oh, that's cool. Digging in the dirt together, and we're really growing something instead of like having, you know, something that's already formed and saying you can come in and you can't. Access is granted to all, and then you have to do the work. The garden doesn't grow if you don't do the work. So we can't do the work for you. You have to do the work yourself, and that's also part of what the community garden is. Sue, since you're pre-published, what serves you about being in a group with all the different types of writers at all different levels? How does that serve you? Oop, unmute.
Okay, now I'm unmuted.
There
Yes.
you go.
So, so what serves me, well, I'm in the pre-published group, and I guess it is a whole bunch of different writers, different levels. Most of them are probably unagented. You know, I mean, when I joined, I was feeling like I really needed a community and I needed support. And I'm also interested in the industry access and the industry sessions, and those have helped me feel like kind of demystify the industry people, like they're not so scary and strange and hard to understand, like they're just people. But the community aspect for me is really, really important. I was feeling very discouraged and like not confident in my writing. And so I'm a songwriter. I've been a songwriter for like, I don't know, 30 years, and I put out albums and
won awards.
Won awards. And I got to tell you, putting out albums, that took other people believing in me for me to start doing that. I did not have the confidence in myself to do that. And so I've been feeling like I've needed, as a writer, other people to help me believe in me. And I feel like I'm finding that here in this community.
Oh.
So I'm not just doing it on my own. It's like I have these people to help me keep going when I lose my faith in myself.
Yeah. And that's something I love, is like when we don't have the energy to believe in ourselves, which we all have dips in that community energy can be something we tap into, and also seeing other people with some of the same struggles.
Yes.
Really helps. Marcy, and we do have some people in the pre-pub that are agented. You move over into the early to mid-career when you actually have a book contract. So you know, you can be on the verge with the agent. An agent is one milestone along the way. It's definitely not the end. And there really is no end to the literary life journey if it's your passion and your desire. So Marcy, you ended up in the Courage to Create because you were part of the Write Submit Support group, which is our 6-month program. And there's information on that at the end, everybody. Can you share about being in Write Submit Support? And Courage to Create comes as a bonus for free to the writers in that 6-month program, and how the industry, we're going to start talking about the industry connections and some of what the program involves. So how did that add to your experience in Write Submit Support?
Well, like Sue said, it was a community for sure. So with Write Submit Support, we had a class and we had homework and we were doing projects and manuscripts and getting those critiqued and different things. But then with Courage to Create, we could get online and go to the Facebook page, and there was Bethany 3 times a week, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, there's a connection point. And so I'm like, oh, it's Monday. What are your goals for the week? And Wednesday, what didn't work out so well this week? What's got you down? And Friday, what are our ta-das? What are we rejoicing over? So just the regular weekly connections on top of that class was a huge help to me for setting goals and getting work done, and then just connecting with other people. I think it helps so much when you have a group that you can share those experiences with and cheer each other on. I love being able to cheer each other on. And there have been many success stories in the last year that people, whether it's an agent or a book or something, it's just so great to hear how everybody's doing and know that you're part of that story for them. You know, it's a life story on this journey together.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Marcy. And in particular, Lena, speaking of success stories, my dear, you had some good news between this week and last week. What can you share? Because we can't always share everything. And how has the Courage to Create served you? We'll be talking about you mostly participate with the community in replays, and just kind of like our connection. Occasionally you'll send me an email and things like that. But how have the replays and what's going on served you, and what's going on in your literary life?
Well, the replays for me are awesome because I rarely can do anything in real time. I have 3 little ones and I'm just like often dripping in children. So I watch them when I can. And they're just full of hope and they make me feel good. But they're also, I realize that people who are published, they have the same problems. Like, it was actually very helpful for me to realize there's no spot I'm going to reach where all of that goes away. So once I process that, it's actually a relief to know. It's a relief to know that there's not this one thing you need to reach and then all of a sudden everything's okay. It's never really all okay. So it's just better to have this good stuff. But no, really, I mean, going on from within, because
now I get it.
It's always going to shift. It's always going to shift. That said, I did love watching Bethany. Your style of interviewing industry is so great. It's just you really get them to open up, and you have this off the cuff way that you get to know who's your match. And this program gave me confidence to realize I'm looking for a match. I'm not just like hoping some agent is going to take me on, but I'm looking for someone who could potentially really be a partner for me. This week was an exciting week because I did get 2 offers. So right now I'm I'm excited. I'm in that time, but even still, I had a moment of insecurity this week. Bethany helped me through it. And I had to remember, like, we have more agency than we think. Someone asked me for 2 weeks to get back to me on extra stories. I needed 1 week because I have the other ones considering. And I felt like awkward hitting send on that. I hit send, I asked for 1 week. And it was an icky feeling because she basically didn't want to do the 1 week and like close the query thing. So it was like a yuck feeling inside. I have the other offers. I'm very happy, but I had to like get my feet back on the ground and realize, no, still, I need to find the right match for me. It's not just about who's going to take me. Like, I'm going to pull the wool over their eyes. It's about finding someone who's a good match.
Yeah. And along with that, like, there's never anything that you can do right. There's never anything you can do wrong either. Right. So like, when you reached out and you're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. What happened? Like, should I reach back out and like open this window again? I was like, you did nothing wrong. They also did nothing wrong. And, it just wasn't the right timing, right match, right fit. So there's also the processing of like the things we're so afraid of as a writer. Like, did I it's the country club thing. Like, am I kicked out now?
Right.
Instead of, hey, let's dig in the dirt and create these stories together and create a partnership and create a career. Because I really believe that's what we're after. And so I'm glad you said we've had editors and agents. We tailor our asks to the community makeup. So that's why you don't see who's coming now. But that's Joy Peskin, editorial director at FSG. We've had so many agents. Now I'm like, I'm blocking on which group this was. Do you guys remember? I remember the gentleman was
that's PS Literary.
PS Literary. I was like, how come the thing isn't coming to my name? And usually we're looking to get a variety of agents. So some that take adult, some that take picture books, some that take novels. And you get to see who's a fit for you. And they open to the community for a brief, usually 3 months. Hopefully that's 3 to 6 months is what we hope. And they open directly, whether they're open or not. Same thing with the editors. The editors' presentations are usually craft presentations where they're walking us through either something they've been working on. Sometimes we get to see some behind the scenes projects. Stacey Barney, she just moved houses, but she shared some behind the scenes edits from one of Julie Berry's beautiful novels. Her presentation was on endings. We've had Roaring Brook editors who did a presentation on lyricism in picture books. So that's the craft aspect usually, and it's directly from the editors. We just had a session on character from a Penguin Random House editor. And we really get to see and break things down in a much different way than like conferences do. And there really is kind of that intimate connection where you're like, we're getting to see people in their living rooms or their vacation homes or up in their parents' bedroom, depending on where they are. Joy showed us her, oh my gosh, her gerbils. Is that what she was like obsessed with? Her gerbils, and she had just bought, is that what it was?
Or a hamster? Was it gerbil?
Hamsters, not
Hamster?
gerbils.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of rodents, so like I had to look away. But but she brought her hamsters, and then and we were like, get your hamster manuscripts ready, but she had just bought one, so she let us know. And Joy also does hard-hitting YA as well. So here she was talking about pursuing being proactive in your publishing, and she was talking about like other ways you can share a story and how she often goes looking for writers if she has a theme or something of interest. So it like runs the gamut, and we see different people's personalities, and we also get craft tips, and then there's the submissions window, and then the behind the book sessions. This was surprising. When I created this, I wanted this to be amazing, and it is, and it's become a community favorite. So here's Elizabeth Lim in the top corner, and her agent Gina McCoby, and they were just with us last month. And Elizabeth had been a Writing Barn success story. She attended a intensive, an in-person intensive, right before she signed with Gina. And on this call, and I did not know this, she mentioned that she had 4 novels that did not sell. And she is now on I think her 4th or 5th book, and she just hit the New York Times bestseller list. And one of the writers in the Courage to Create community who watched the replay, she was like, this was Elizabeth Lim? Elizabeth Lim got 4 novels rejected? Yes, Elizabeth Lim got 4 novels rejected. It happens, and we, embrace part of the journey. Mickey, we'll get to your question a little bit towards the end, so keep that thought, okay? And Lisa, let's talk to you about your behind the book, because you came and shared with us about It Will Be Okay, a story of empathy, kindness, and inclusion, and you appeared with your agent. Usually these are bonus sessions where we have an editor and agent partnering with the creative, who sometimes is in the community and sometimes not, where you get to like walk behind the scenes of the book. So what was it like to present with your agent and to share the story of It Will Be Okay with us, who you guys, you may have seen, Lisa was never one to brag on herself, so I'm going to brag for her. You may have seen her book all over Target bookshelves all summer long. It Will Be Okay, pandemic book that was released in the springtime or wintertime, Lisa, which one was it?
It was released in February.
Yeah.
So winter. Yeah.
So, well, winter in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Spring in Austin.
Yes, winter here where I am for sure. But yeah, I love doing the behind the book presentation. It was my second picture book I had released. And what I wanted to do was talk about the things that happened after you had an agent, when you're working with an editor, that you don't necessarily hear about at conferences or see. And so I shared so it's a picture book. And so I shared some of the early sketches that I got to see from the illustrator. I talked about how I had some feedback on pagination changes and some of the expressions on the animals. The story's about a giraffe who's afraid of spider, but really it's about our anxieties. And so I was really worried to give that feedback and say, I don't think this is expressing what I wanted to say the right way. And my wonderful agent, Wendy Gu, who's at Greenberger Associates, I checked in with her and she said it was okay. And so I wrote a long explanation about some things that I felt strongly about. And I got the things that I asked for. They made those changes, and I was really insecure about that. And so I wanted to let people know that even when you get an agent, even when you have an editor, you have a book deal, there's still obstacles you have to go through. We still have some imposter syndrome. But just to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit and let people know some of those steps in the process. And then Wendy was there and she talked about rights and subsidiary rights and things I still have to ask her to explain to me. And so it was just such a fun celebration to talk about something I'd worked on and that was out in the world. And I just wanted to share with people that, you know, put your hard work in and you can make this happen. And here's a sneak peek of some of the things that go into the process.
Yeah, it kind of like walks you through the bookmaking process. Somebody was sharing in the chat that they remember Lena suggesting this book after that Behind the Book. And we got a picture of Lena's kids reading the book. So what did the Behind the Book sessions do? Let's start with Lena.
I love them. I was just writing in the chat. I think that behind the book session, Lisa, you did share how you weren't happy during part of the process and you were nervous about some of the stuff. And for me, watching you're a published author, and then you're sharing all of these things that weren't going your way. I mean, I look at you like, oh my God, she's so successful. And it was a relief. Like, it was a relief to know that on every level this happens. But I loved also hearing you and Wendy go back and forth. Like, I got to watch a relationship between an author and an agent and how it really works, not in this imaginary way that we think, you know, just the real way. It was like a relief to see real people, real problems, you know. It was nice.
Real people, real problems, and to see your agent have your back. And also how that works out. And
and also to add that I am on my second agent.
Yes.
And so I found the first relationship was not a fit, and I worked hard to submit some more, and Bethany had helped me through that too. Bethany was mentoring me in between agents, and I am in a very, very happy place.
Yeah. And we've had community members leave their agents as well, realize that it's not a fit. You know, things that we've been tolerating, potentially that we knew were red flags, but didn't have the courage to pull the plug with, like, because having an agent kind of makes you feel like you're for a real writer, when the only thing that actually makes you a for real writer is the writing. And getting the work out there and doing it. And no, a bad agent is worse than no agent. And it's not just, there are schmagents, which you have to be wary of. Most are not schmagents, but they just may not be a perfect fit for you. I'm on my third agent, and my second agent, Regina Brooks, was an industry guest. Someone I deeply believe in, does great industry and wonderful things. But in the long term, we were together for several years, and then we weren't a match anymore, but we're still good friends and industry connections and have each other's back. Totally. You guys may know some of Regina's work. Crown is one of her books. My friend Sunday T. Frazier's with her. She's Derek Barnes. She reps Derek Barnes. She's really great. So it's also being able to talk about that stuff where, like, I don't want there to be shame and silence around any of it. I've also gotten dropped by an agent. Aaron Murphy dropped me. So I got dropped by an agent, then I left an agent, and I'm on my third agent. So all of it, transparency and the courage to create. Yep. See, this is what somebody said. CTC demystifies the publishing industry. Agents and editors seem less intimidating and more like people doing a very challenging job. It's helpful to understand what their job entails. We also kind of keep each other on notice in the Facebook group, like, is it crickets out there? Like, nobody's getting responses. So you know not to take it personally, you know, like, well, geez, everything is slowed down. And now all of a sudden, 3 or 4 Courage to Creators have had agent offers and calls within the last 2 weeks. So here it is, almost the end of the summer. Like, people are doing some work right before they probably do their last hurrah over this weekend, and then they're getting ready. They're bringing in some new blood for the fall, and they're getting ready to go. Marcy shared about our face group check-ins, and these are what is posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's a way to keep us on track with our goals. What we've been talking about are goals and milestones. So I deeply believe that milestones are what we usually conflate with our goals. I want to be published. I want to be on the New York Times bestseller list. I want to get reviewed in School Library Journal. I'd love a starred review. Those are usually the stamp of approval things that we're after to kind of prove to ourselves that we're worth it. Or, earning out can be one of them. Very few of my books have earned out. Okay, we can talk about that at another time. And the range of advances, like nothing's off the table when it comes to me. Other people don't share as much and don't have to, but that's kind of like my glass window policy is, my transparency as the facilitator of this group. But what was I saying before I started to go off on my tangent, Lisa?
You were talking about the check-ins on the Facebook group.
Oh, the check-ins on the Facebook group. And milestones. So milestones really are, if we focus on our goals, so if we're pre-published and we want an agent, it's getting our work submittable and ready, taking our classes, understanding what we need to really be ready to go. And then also it's actually hitting submit. You can't get an agent if you're not submitting. You can't get an agent if you're not processing your passes and picking yourself up and doing it again. So if you focus on your goals, you meet those milestones. And so we work on that. We celebrate all of it, the big and the small, not just the milestones, the success stories, or we're going to have milestones met posts. But we give all of it equal measure. And then on Wednesdays, what's particular to this group, lots of groups talk about goals and lots of groups have Friday celebrations, but we also talk about the passes as they come in. So sometimes you don't have to, and we also share just what our writer frustrations are. So sometimes I saw a writer pop on, she isn't one of our invited guests, so I'm not going to share her name, but I'll share a little bit of her story. She was waiting, again in that slowdown, thinking, well, her agent has submitted a story. It turned out her agent had forgotten to submit the story that she thought. So this was a great agent. Things slip off of people's plates. When she realized oh, other people are getting responses, let me check in with my agent. And then the agent was like, oh my gosh, it got hung up. And then the work got out. So that's talking about using our frustrations to be proactive, not just sitting around. This is not water cooler complain about the industry. Otherwise that big bad nameless faceless thing. It's how can we engage with the industry to put ourselves in the position that we want to be in? I believe in empowering ourselves and also empowering the industry. And when we're vocal and active, I was so afraid of being called bossy or troublemaker as a creative, asking questions. Was that going to be okay? Was I going to step on toes? And I created the Courage to Create so other writers didn't have to go through that angst and worry and concern and yucky headspace, because it interferes with your creativity. And that's what it's all about. That's our passion. Our passion isn't, hitting submit 20 times. Our passion is telling the best story we can, and then hopefully engaging with readers on the other side. So you don't have to be on the Facebook group. Lena, you don't go on the Facebook group at all, really.
Actually, I do see it. I don't comment a lot, but I see it. I see your posts and stuff. They fill me up. I just don't. It's the kind of thing I'll scroll before bed, but it's just a nice other piece. Yeah, I like it.
So and that's the thing. You can share when you're comfortable sharing. Sue shares her goals a bunch. Marcy, same thing. Lisa, as my right hand during the last 2 cycles, is always there sharing and commenting. And we have many community members who use that space, but it's by no means 100% necessary. We definitely have people who are not interested in Facebook, who don't want to be on Facebook, find Facebook problematic, which I agree with. We just haven't found a better space to be able to like do that. And we also, if something goes wrong with a link, you can find it on Facebook because it's a closed space. So if there's a technical difficulty or a last minute reminder, or there's also like a document that we leave up on the site that kind of follows like what the deadlines are for different things, because there's a lot to this program. There's a lot to this community. And then we have our Lit Life sessions. So they're usually on a variety of different themes. They're monthly. And that's where people get group coaching from me. So some of you may have attended the Writing Barns Nonfiction Confab, and I did an impromptu Ask Me Anything session. We do one Ask Me Anything session per round, and that's anonymous. We also invite people into spotlight conversations. So like if you are having a problem with your agent and you don't want other people to know, but you want some advice, or you want to know, you know, I will know who you are, but the community won't know who you are. And you can actually ask probably anonymously, where I don't even have to know where you are, who you are. But there are other parts of that as well. Marcy, what do you like about the Lit Life calls?
I like that it's just real time. It's, you know, this is my problem right now. And usually we're all having something similar, or it applies to something that we're working through. And so I think that while we have a spotlight of one person, it just applies to so many others' journey, that it just helps to work through some of those things. And I always come away inspired and encouraged. And those days when you feel like, oh, am I doing the right thing? Or you know, whatever the case may be, you just get such encouragement that it's easy to get back on the horse, so to speak, and keep going.
Our cowgirl's gonna get back on the horse. I love it. And you've got some horse manuscripts too. But also, you know, and one of the things that comes with the Lit Life sessions are usually there's a worksheet, questions to ask yourself, either during the call or after, where you can kind of like, sometimes there are journal prompts, sometimes there's like things to go listen to, or potentially to revitalize, refill your well. Sometimes there's, you know, like making your marketing goals, like attributing your big why, like, do you want to put your big why on your website? You know, sometimes I'm planning to do a lot more kind of like timelines and, you know, some more things along the way to really kind of like give us some more resources to the community. And Lisa, you're in the early to mid-career. What do you get from the Lit Life sessions?
I really like having the connection. When I think about, like, I can afford to go to one like big conference a year and get my fill of my writer friends. But now with the Lit Life, I'm getting that encouragement once a month with that. Then with the Ask an Agent and the editor insight sessions, you're just with people who know what you're doing. Like in my life, I have kind of like my good work friends from back in the day when I was in corporate America, and I have my writer friends, and they're different groups. Like I don't talk about writing in my books with some of my other friends. To an extent, they just kind of don't get it. So I like being in a community of people who understand what I'm going through, who can talk about the ups and downs, and who just are crazy about books and want to talk about books all the time and writing. And so it's been, even though I have an agent and I have books out, it's that connection to people and the guidance that you give us, Bethany, and your kindness and your warmth that has saved me many a time when I was down. So I appreciate that from you so much.
All right, truth be told, Lisa is on salary, so she might be going for a bonus. No, I'm just kidding.
I wasn't even thinking of that. No, I swear, it's all from the heart, everybody.
No, I agree. Lisa doesn't have a lying body in her bone, but I was like, damn, I sound good. Thank you for that. pat on my back. Um,
All true.
I'm working on taking things in, everybody. So thank you, Lisa, for that. And at the Courage to Create, we also have discounts on Writing Barn classes. So many of you guys are Writing Barn regulars, whether you've attended our webinars, our classes, and or been to an intensive. I see a couple people who have been here in person. And when you're part of the Courage to Create, because we're not craft based necessarily, even though we'll have some craft offerings on occasion. We want you to continue your studies if that's what you need to be doing right then. And so then you'll have discounts for our 6-month members, which are how we're welcoming people. We only have the annual membership after you've been in the community for 6 months. Make sure we're a fit for you, you're a fit for us. We don't kick you out, but you know, you may decide like, oh, I didn't use it, or like, I don't care for Bethany, or, you know, I don't know. There are people who don't like me. There are people I don't pay, like Lisa. And you know, you may self-select and decide it's not for you. When you're in the annual membership, you get discounts on all of the classes, and in the 6-month you get them on, we release them every 2 months, so you can plan out your future. So also, if you're like, you know, a Writing Barn 6-week regular, being a part of the Courage to Create community, whether you can participate live or not, also gives you discounts to some of those classes. And you see our classes have been filling up. Many of them have been filling out. And then last 6 months, we added the Courage to Create critique circles. So we have a lot of writers who are already in critique groups, and we've talked about pros and cons of our critique groups too, like when to leave one, what's a batch, how to, you know, vocalize, because if you're in the wrong critique group, or it's not a full, you're not able to be fully expressive, or there's a member who's more domineering and you don't quite feel safe around, you're not going to be doing your best work. So we added that as an option. We have a group of people who, Courage to Create members themselves, who help match. There's like a form to go out. You don't have to participate in that, but it is an option to do so. And Sue, you are in a group, and your group is going really well. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I know not every group was successful in the long run, but my group has been meeting. We've had 3 or 4 meetings, and I love my group. It's, you know, I feel like I get so much out of both getting their feedback on my work and being able to critique their work. Everyone's very supportive. There's some real knowledge in the group, and there's just always, it just feels so, and I love it that we meet in person on Zoom. 3 of us are in Austin, and 1 is in New York, and 1 is in Ohio. And it's great to have that, you know, that in-person connection. In person on Zoom, but you know,
In person on Zoom.
I was in another
We all know
group
what you mean.
where we
Something-
just shared manuscripts, and I didn't find that as helpful. I really like the connection.
Yeah, not just trading the work and writing the comments and sending it back via email. And that's also part of the questionnaire is, you know, how do you prefer to work? You know, and actually having that dialogue. And it's funny, we just did a book launch party for Gloria Amesqua, and somebody was like, you know, we had 70 people there, and like it felt like we were all in the same room, which was really nice. So Zoom, when you're in the room with the right people, it's very engaging, and we do breakout sessions in our Lit Life calls, and then there's more community engagement to come. So this 6 months, we added this after our first cycle. This 6 months, we're adding craft and community nights. So the members who were polled the last time, they were, you know, the pandemic unfortunately is still raging. We thought we would be moving around a little bit more. We had a time and then it moved backwards. And people were really wanting that engagement and to connect, not just on the Facebook group, but to talk about process stuff. So we are going to be leading, community members are going to be leading either a group discussion on a craft book, or potentially analyzing and like showing some picture books and everybody reads them and we analyze them and talk about them, or a novel chapter, or, you know, a section of a craft book, or even a webinar episode, you know, like having a discussion about something that you can bring back to your writing life. And then also there are going to be reading nights. So there are going to be 3 kind of sessions on a topic or a book. And then there'll be 3 opportunities for you to come and hear other writers read, to sign up yourself. At the Writing Barn Intensive, we had many a star turn at the Writing Barn podium when editors and agents were there listening to just stories being read. And we're like, I think that should be, you know, something I make an offer on. That happened to Nick Solis on 2 of his books, actually. But in the community, you're not there to impress anyone. You can read something brand new. You can practice your reading skills, your public speaking skills. If you have a book coming out and you're really uncomfortable with that, they're going to be short little readings, you know, 4 minutes. You can like get comfortable with the uncomfortable is one of our beliefs. And so you can put yourself out there and engage. Plus, then you can know a little bit more about what other people are writing and be like, oh, hey, I haven't like been in a breakout room with Sarah Fajardo, but I want to get to know Sarah. I love that story she wrote. So let me connect with her and, you know, reply on her thing, talk to her, follow her on social media. You know, so connections, deeper connections can get made amid community members as well. And online friendships, you know, I have dear friends who I don't see very often at all, even before the pandemic, because of our deep electronic connection. Here's something else somebody shared in the last Courage to Create session. I loved this here at the end. If you're serious and you want to be taken seriously, Courage to Create is for you. That made me really happy to read that, because I believe we're serious creators, people in this community. And those are like the 4 kind of 4 or 5, I can't count there, cornerstones of the program: going for our goals, industry transparency, doing the goals so our milestones get met, engaging with our obstacles, and creating industry connections, as well as deep friendships. I didn't put that up there. So that's the program overall and how a 6-month goes. There are 3 Ask an Agent, 3 editor insight sessions, 2 behind the book sessions, usually with bonus submissions for the behind the books, exclusive submissions, opportunities for the editor and agent sessions. Then there's the community and support aspect, the monthly literary life coaching sessions with me, the critique circle, the monthly craft and discussion nights, and then discounts and the Facebook check-ins. And the cost of the program is $350 for 6 months. And that's 21 hours of programming with submissions, opportunities, and more. So that's less than a 6-week class at the Writing Barn. It's less than a conference, sometimes even less than an online conference, just depends on what kind of conference it is. And tonight, if you want to register tonight, Lisa's going to put the link to the purchase page. If you want to tonight, register for the Courage to Create. If you're like, yes, this is for me, you can use this code. So take a picture of that right now or write it down. And you can register tonight with $25 off. So that would be at the 6-month renewal price, which is $325. And you can look that over. That's some more stuff from the Courage to Create community. Somebody said about the value. It's an amazing deal overall, especially for those looking for submissions opportunities. Career advice for intermediate writers, not beginners, is hard to find online. I enjoy the in-depth look at the publishing industry, and I feel like the information is tailored to the community. Has more of community feel than conferences. Somebody said I was delightful. Again, I don't know who that was because that was anonymous, but I owe them a little $5 gift card. And then we do have scholarships. So there are 2 scholarships for BIPOC writers. We've given out 1 partial scholarship in that area. LGBTQIAP+ writers, neurodiverse writers, and need-based writers. If you want to apply for any of those, Lisa's going to put in the scholarship form as well. So if you want to apply for the scholarship, you do that before you purchase, because obviously we want to see what we can do, whether it's a full scholarship or a partial scholarship. And if you don't need the full amount, do partial, because then we can actually help more writers and bring in more writers into the community as well. And then there's, I saw Lori in the group tonight, who is kind of like finding out all about the Courage to Create, because she is in the Write Submit Support Program. So when you're in the Write Submit Support Program, applications end on that on the 13th of September. And we only have 1 spot left in Hannah Barnaby's Write Submit Support for picture books and chapter books. There are 5 spots left in Rob Sanders' WSS Nonfiction, that also has a special guest of Candace Fleming coming for a 20-minute Q&A, and the opportunity to see some of her video lectures from the class that she's teaching with us this fall. And then Nancy Turner Steveson, a previous mentee of mine who's taught 6-week classes, is teaching WSS novel, and there's 5 spots left in her class. And now it's time for Q&A. So we want to hear from you. You can write your question in the chat. You can come on and raise your hand if you'd like to come on video and or audio, whatever you're comfortable with, and we can answer your questions directly. It can be directed towards me or someone in the community. So it looks like we already got a good question. All right, Yvette, come on.
Hello, hi, Bethany and everybody there. Thank you so much. It's amazing to be here tonight and seeing so many of us in the evening. First of all, real quickly, I loved the way that you started this webinar. I have seen so many webinars, and you are the first one that actually puts music and charge me up with the high level. And I'm like, yes, I need this so bad. So thank you for starting in such a happy, bright way. So I really enjoy it. So saying that, I have a big question.
Yes.
As you notice, I'm not exactly a Native American. I don't speak like really with an Anglo-Saxon, accent. But I do write picture books in English. And recently I finished my chapter book. I'm very proud of it. It's about 10,000 words, but they are in Portuguese. My question is, should I challenge myself and go all the way to write it again in English? Because I have read it already like 1,000 times in Portuguese. I know the story by now. I can't even sleep on it. And I'm saying, my gosh, I have to write all this in English. Or should I look for a translator and then pursue the submission aspect? Because this is the first time I'm doing this. I don't know if an agent would be interested to even open a possibility being translated, or should I just do it myself and just work hard on the translation aspect?
This is a great question, and one that we haven't talked about before in terms of translations. If you hope to publish in the English market, especially if you have a picture book that's already ready and you have this chapter book written and you feel it's strong, if your desire is to be published in the North American market space, and with rights hopefully sold in many other countries, that I would probably work on it in the chapter book in English,
Okay.
or pursue publication in the Portuguese market, and then with a Portuguese agent,
Sell the rights.
and then potentially, you know, the rights get sold across. So a friend of mine just had rights sold in Iran. I've had rights sold in Korea,
Mhm.
and they will find the translator and do it for you, you know, and do all of that. But I think if it's like, it's your story and you're really wanting to break into the North American market, which is mostly what we cover here at the Courage
Yes.
to Create, even though we do have global members. We have someone in Saudi Arabia, we have someone in Peru. So we are international and global, and diverse and inclusive. So so we'd welcome you in the community. But I think, does that answer your question? I think like,
I
that's
think
it. If it's your dream, there, Sue's speaking to you in Spanish.
I
Or
said
maybe
that,
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
It's not, it's Portuguese, not Spanish.
Thank you,
See,
Sue.
I'm
Yeah,
kind
you
of
did answer my, I guess that I have two plans. Plan A, I can challenge and go all the way and translate it myself or write it again, the whole story in English, or try to sell it in another market so it can eventually sell the rights in the US market.
Yes.
So yes, okay. So I will let you know what I would do.
Okay, keep us posted.
So thank you.
Keep us posted. We'd love to
Thank
hear. Mickey,
Thank you.
had
And
a
I have one more question.
Oh yes, I can answer your question.
Can I ask you a quick question? Yeah, it's about, because I was in your webinar about the other program that you have.
Oh, right, Summit
that you
Support.
just mentioned, that you have the spots available. So
Yes.
I can only participate in one, right? It's either picture books or novel.
Yes, I would, if you're considering a Right Summit support program, pick one. You can do them, they're kind of like little MFA semesters. We have different instructors at different times as well.
Okay.
So I would pick one, and then potentially you could shift to the other. But if you're in that, you do get the Courage to Create for free. So you don't need to purchase that.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, English market is the biggest market. See, we have our community guests, community generating ideas for you right now as well. And that's another aspect, is like when people weigh in with their thoughts and their expertise in the chat as well, which is always helpful on our community calls.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to go to Mickey because Mickey did have a question earlier, and then we'll go to Patrice.
That was a technological glitch.
Oh, okay,
I'm
Mickey.
sorry, but I have this opportunity to say that I'm very excited, and I'm going to definitely sign up tonight.
Yay!
I give my turn. I yield my turn.
You yield your turn. Okay, then we'll go to Patrice and Marty. I saw your question in the chat, and since you and I know one another, I'll talk to you about that in just a sec. Yes, Patrice.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for sharing all this information. It's been really helpful. I'm just curious, throughout the presentation, you talked a little bit about people connecting, asking questions, getting feedback on different things. And I'm just curious, where does that actually happen in this? Does it typically happen in the Facebook group or via email or in the coaching time or all of it?
With me?
Yeah, I mean, I did. It sounded like several people had like asked you some questions that you helped them sort through, whether agenting things or just other stuff. And so I was just curious, like, where that fits in with the program.
That's usually in the literary life or on the Facebook group. I'm on the Facebook group, and you can like tag me and ask a question. And also I do outside private mentoring too. We can set up like a 10 or 15 minute call that's free to you if you have like a complication or something that you want to talk over. And then if it's something longer than that, where you just want private coaching, there's like a separate rate. But people, you can throw your hat into the ring for a spotlight. And that's usually like you have 10 to 15 minutes devoted to your question, as well as those Ask the Agent or Ask Me Anything sessions. And I'm, you know, involved at every level. So like I wasn't able to lead an agent session when my dad passed away. Hannah Barnaby stepped in and did that. But I'm the MC at everything, and saying hello and goodbye, and questions come up. There's also others in the community who can cheer you on. But yeah, you do have access to me at different times.
Okay,
A
thank
major
you.
perk is Bethany being the MC. See, these people like me. That's why they're
True.
still in it. But yeah, so there's different levels, and really, it kind of like, it's fluid. I have to have, I'm working on Rest is a Radical Act, and I've got my own writing that I need to get done as well, and family and things like that. But if I can be available and answer a quick question on Facebook, I'm happy to do that. So does that answer your question, Patrice?
Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to understand a little bit more how that
the Lit
process
Life.
works.
And actually, if you are interested in what a Lit Life section looks like, I'm doing 2 of the most popular ones from our first cycle coming up on the 9th and the 12th. There's Defining Your Success, where we're going to walk you through exercises on defining your success, and then give you an opportunity to ask questions. And then one on working with Compare Despair. And that's all before we close. And if you join, we're also encouraging you to come to those so you can get exposed to that content.
Okay, great, thank you.
Awesome. Marty, since you have been to the Writing Barn and you know me, if you wanted to enroll at the annual, we can get you that. And then you get discounts on all the Writing Barn classes, and there's a price drop too. So right now you're joining at $350 or $325. The current annual price is $450. So, and that's for the full year. So that we dropped that this year, and we want to make this doable, and we just want to be sure that we're a fit for you, that you're getting what you want before you commit to something for a year. Because sometimes, especially in our first year, the last time we didn't even open up annual memberships. And so we want to be sure either you've studied with me or know me from something, if you're interested in that, and just really see that it's a fit for you. Okay, we had a question in the chat. Is it Shauna? Is that how you say your name? Shauna Weisenberg? Is that right?
Hannah.
Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Sorry about that. So it says here, you write poetry, humorous personal essays, and mystery suspense. Which one would you do? You can do all of them, because your writing is can be in any genre. Is there one that you're when you engage with the publishing professionals, you would hear what they're after? So there'll be some potentially thriller and suspense agents, or agents that are open to that. So you would, if that work was ready and you wanted to, be putting that forward in terms of submitting something, you could do that. If it's just embracing your creativity, I say do it all. Or in a Lit Life call, if you're like, hey, Bethany, I can't do it all, I want to focus on one, then there could be some coaching around where is your heart right now, and also what are your industry goals, and kind of seeing and aligning those two. Okay. So use your creative energy the best. But we also have people, I write novels and picture books. I write nonfiction as well. I would like to write a craft book. I'd like to write a memoir. I can't write it all at the same time. So I've got, kind of like what I'm currently working on, and what my agent, since I am agented, wants to see from me, or what the editors I'm working with potentially want to see from me next. But I'm always thinking for our creatives about what it is, where their heart is, what do they want to do? So is out of the genres and different things that you mentioned, do you have, what's your heart most involved with right now?
geez, well, the immediate goal is to finish the novel.
To finish the novel.
Yeah.
Is that the thriller?
Yes.
A mystery thriller?
Yeah.
For adults or for young people?
Adults.
Adults. Awesome. And you know what? When we have adult agents, that's what they want. They want mysteries and thrillers. A lot of them want mysteries and thrillers. I'm like, I read a mystery and thriller by Amy Gentry, who her agent also does children's. Rebecca Manley's with her agent, or that agent. They have the same agent, this big thriller writer and this picture book parody writer. So you never know. Their interest can be sometimes limited and sometimes wide. But
okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any other questions? And also, Hannah, I would think, depending on where you are with the novel, you may want to look at Write Submit Support, and you get one-on-one feedback directly from a published writer, and that mirrors the author-agent relationship. And then what you can do, you know, if that's of interest to you, Lisa, did you put the WSS links in the side? You can, Lisa will put those.
Yes, I'll do that in a second. Yes.
Yeah, Lisa can put those in,
questions.
and if you're interested in that, then you get the Courage to Create for free. And it's really to like, you work deeply in craft in Write Submit Support, as you would if you were in a MFA program at a much cheaper price point. And then what you do is then the Courage to Create really kind of gives you like the industry access and like cushion and thoughts about like how to put your work out into the world, and are you ready to query. Last time we did a query clinic, and I did probably about 20 queries from the community, and gave feedback on, it was somewhere between 15 and 20 queries that I read ahead of time. And then people also, whether your query was picked, like allowed you to see what worked in others and then how to apply it to your own work as well. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any questions for our community? These ladies that we have here, or I can pull on a couple others that I saw. I don't know if they're still here, that signed in. I saw Sara Fajardo here for a bit. She may have had to go. But I was like, she can answer a question.
Bethany?
Yes.
Is Patrice's hand up again? Does she have another question?
Oh, Patrice, do you have another question?
I do. Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah, just one question. I can't remember. It was in one of your statements that the Courage to Create community, the value of the hashtag own voices. And I was just curious how that shows up in the community and what that means for the space.
Yes, well, that's a great question. And own voice, I need to change. That was in the Writing Barn Manifesto. Own voices, I believe, is not used currently.
Yeah.
And we have writers of all, you know, many different ethnicities and different races. Tonight, our community members were white or white appearing, but we do have other community members as well. And we also have agency, we're look to have representation across the board in terms of the editors and agents we bring on. And I know I'm chatting with one editor about potentially who has employed Affinity Authenticity readers and served as one, talking to the Courage to Create group about best practices, as well as how to potentially offer yourself as an Affinity Authenticity reader if you are a representative of a community and that's something of interest to you. But I want to be sure, you know, the onus is on the whoever is employing the Affinity writer. We have a safe place. It's very clear that anyone who is of color who has an issue, their voice is heard and respected, and there's no, that's one place we don't have debate. If a person of color feels that something was incorrect or, hurtful, microaggression, which is really a macroaggression. There's an apology that needs to be made, and that's the end of the discussion. We really work to take care, and you can find out some more in our FAQs, or I can potentially put you in touch with some of our writers of color who are in the community. And we definitely want to grow that space. We've been working hard on that overall, and it's really important to me. I'm the mother of a biracial son. I have written cross-culturally, and I have the greatest respect for all voices, and I want our writers to be heard. So thank you for that, Patrice. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. And you just mentioned that you could potentially put people in touch. If I could follow up with you maybe over email.
Oh yeah, yes. I will have your email. Let me write your name down.
I can just send the email. You don't have to write it.
Yeah, send me an email and we'll get you in touch with a couple of our writers.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, Patrice. Anybody else? No other questions? Well, we started with song. Do we want to end with song? We want to, okay, good. You guys want to end with some Shaka? Or I can find some, yeah, we like Shaka. Okay. Okay, let me go back to Shaka and we'll play us out. Thank you all for being here. Your time and energy is invaluable, and how you spend it, both your time and energy and your money as a writer, is deeply respected by us at the Writing Barn and at the Courage to Create and in my personal mentoring. I know I don't believe in like quick publishing dreams and get rich quick, like I want to capitalize on your stuff. We're all going to be stars. I want us all to live thriving literary lives where we feel empowered and strong and capable of, of creating and making our dreams come true, but also not doing so haphazardly. Okay. So I take your time and energy and effort seriously. So thank you all. And now I'll play you out with some music. Let me get my share going. See, this is the part where I'm always like, what do I do again? Hold on. Oh, I think I closed it. Sorry, I can't play us out to Shaka. I closed it already. And I won't sing to you. So just listen to the Shaka in your head. Channel Shaka. That maybe needs to be a new Courage to Create belief. Channel your inner Shaka Khan. All right, bye everyone. Thank you. Again, if you register tonight with that code, you get your $25 off. And if you had any questions, especially if it was around inclusivity, we will honor that code after you talk to other writers to make sure that you feel safe and heard and all of that. All right, thank you guys. The replay is going to go out, and we also may put it on our website eventually because we covered a lot of ground tonight. So big thank you to our community members, Sue Young, Marcy Whitehurst, Lena Juliet Weber, and my right hand and amazing writer, author extraordinaire, Lisa Katzenberger. So nice to see some friends from VCFA. Hi there, Ann Westrick and Marty and some others. So take care, everyone, and I hope to see you all at the Courage to Create. We open officially tomorrow, and then we close on the 13th, and our first events will be, we have 2 or 3 events in September. There'll be events. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.